This is The Speaking Show. I'm David Newman, and you're tuned in to the #1 podcast for speakers, consultants, and experts who want to speak more profitably. I am here with the medical strategist, Dr. Barbara Hales, MD. Welcome to The Speaking Show.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, Barbara, you are the doctor that helps other doctors with marketing. Tell us a little bit about how that came to be and what's your backstory? What were some of the professional adventures that brought you to the work that you're doing today?
Yes, absolutely. When I started my medical practice, I didn't buy into a medical practice or become someone's partner. I decided that I was going to have my own so that I could really be in touch with my patients on a personal level. I put out feelers for the spot that I thought would work best, which was on a busy street. It was a storefront. It used to be a candy store. And my biggest regret is they didn't leave their inventory. But in any case, I decorated it and then opened the doors. And it didn't take long before I thought, wait a minute, I have no patience. And, like within a month, bills are going to start rolling in. And so I better do something to market myself, or I'm going to be opening the door and closing the door shortly thereafter. So over a period of time, I saw what worked, what didn't work. And so I got quite adept at marketing my practice, which will work for other medical practices as well. When I started, I had no patients. And when I left, I had over 10,000 active patients.
That's a lot of appointments.
However, what I discovered, yes, that's absolutely true. What I discovered is that most doctors were not marketing themselves. If I asked them on a personal level if they did any marketing, I was met with a nervous laugh, followed by, I don't know how, I don't have the time, or is that even ethical? But what I point out to them is that marketing is simply telling people where you're located and what services you provide. Can you imagine saying, these are the services I provide, but guess where I'm located? Or this is where my office is located, but you're going to have to guess the services that I perform. Sound ridiculous, right? So obviously, marketing is really important in any professional or any business for that matter. You don't want to be the world's best kept secret.
Absolutely, for sure. Well, it sounds like many entrepreneurs, doctors, and certainly in your experience, I think this is true, doctors are much better at doing the work than they are at getting the work. Right. So we all love the work that we do. It's like the marketing part, the sales part, the lead generation part. That's the part that people would prefer some kind of magic wand or magic pill to take care of. Let's talk about social media marketing and specifically some of the mistakes that you see medical professionals make, either in ignoring it or doing it the wrong way or minimizing its impact where it might be serving them a lot better than it is.
Well, there are a few mistakes that not only doctors make, but any business person makes. And the thing is, biting off more than you can chew. The fact of the matter is that there are a lot of new social media sites. Probably every few weeks, we're hearing of another one popping up, like the latest one being TikTok and the one before that, Clubhouse. But the fact of the matter is you can't do it all. So what you need to say to yourself is, where is my target market located? Where do they like to hang on a social level? And that's the site that you should spend your time on. There's no point in going to a site that your target market just doesn't go to. But the second and even more important mistake that a lot of people make is that, every social media platform allows you to put your own profile on their page. It's free. And the benefit of that is so that it drives traffic to your website. So even if you are not going to spend any time on the social media platform, you should put a stellar profile of yourself on it. And you should put a profile on every site that you possibly can, because when people do searches on that site and they find you, you are directing them to your website so that they will take the action that you're directing them to. Or if they're not ready to take any action, at least you're increasing your visibility and they'll know more about you. And then the third thing that's a big mistake is not putting any call to action on your site. Sure, everything you write may be interesting. It may engage them and they'll say, oh, that's interesting. And then they'll click off and go to the next thing. But if you have no call to action, you can't just will them to do what you want. You can expect them to or hope for them to do the action that you would like them to take after reading your post.
Do you think that it's funny because as we've moved into social media, digital marketing, I don't think doctors were all that hesitant to use traditional advertising, right? The glossy magazines and some print work, and they spend thousands of dollars on these brochures sitting on the counter in the office. When things go digital, do you think doctors went a little bit goofy and said, well, that doesn't apply to us anymore because we're still doing the print magazines and the brochures? And is it either or is there some hybrid combination of both that you recommend?
Well, the fact of the matter is that if you are putting out all this information online, then aside from the time that it takes to do that, you're really not spending any money as opposed to the thousands of dollars for non-digital products. And now that we have gone through a pandemic, doctors who have not been digital at all up until this point are saying, oh my God, hey, I better start pivoting or I'm just out of business. And unfortunately, what most people don't realize is that there are a number of doctors that are going out of business. More than 61% of doctors' offices now that were private are selling to hospitals and then just moving on.
Oh, yeah, it's bad out there. You know, one of the concepts that as we're emerging out of this pandemic is coming to light in lots of areas is everything old is new again. So talk about the importance of press releases, talk about the importance of getting media. If you're a doctor, if you're a medical practitioner, what is the press release and the media strategy?
Okay, the importance of a press release is that you are, giving visibility to yourself. And the importance is that it has to be not just here I am, it has to be something that is newsworthy. So if you were to participate in a community fair or even run that, or you were going to give a lecture at the local library, or you were volunteering your service for something, these are newsworthy events. Until such time that you have it, what I recommend that people do is to register with HARO, HARO, which stands for Help a Reporter Online. Now, reporters are always getting stories that they want to do, and they need quotes from professionals. If they know that the story that they are going to be highlighting is one that you discuss yourself or that you are a professional to, they will come to you and say, gee, what do you think about that? What's the latest breakthrough in medicine? Or, what do you think about this topic? Or can I get some quotes from you? And so they of themselves will be helping you get press releases and media exposure. Now, also, for the budget restricted businesses, there are several sites where you can get, free distribution. However, even if you put it on these sites and absolutely no one ever reads it, you are still getting benefits. And you might say to yourself, well, if nobody reads it and nobody looks at it, then what's the point? And in fact, there's a very big point. And the point is, even if no person is looking at it, the search engines are looking at it. And the search engines are increasingly seeing who you are. It's boosting your search engine rankings to get you from page 25 to page 1. Because let's face it, when prospective patients are searching for a professional in whatever field in their community, they're only going to the ones that are on page 1, maybe the first part of page 2. But they're certainly not scrolling down to page 15, 20, 25. So if you're there, then professionally, you're just dead to the world. There's no point.
Right, absolutely. And I'm also guessing that if these press releases or these media mentions have backlinks to your website, that is also helpful, because then it helps to build authority and people know there's something happening on this website if there's more and more backlinks that start to gather up.
You're so right, David. It really increases your visibility all across the board.
Well, let's get off the digital path for a quick moment. And going back to the spirit of everything old is new again, talk about networking, personal relationship building, networking that happens at networking events, and also networking that happens not at networking events. How is networking such a critical piece these days?
It's a little bit easier for people if they happen to be at events to meet people, shake their hands, say who you are. But sometimes that's just in one ear and out the other. If you're in a big room with 80 or 100 people, you may be making an impression on someone at that moment, but that might not be lasting. In your community, if you find people who are in related fields that would be referring to you, then in the spirit of what is old is new again, instead of just calling that person or emailing them, there is nothing better than meeting them eye to eye, shaking their hands, giving them your cards, your prescriptions for referrals, and saying, hey, you know what? Let's get a cup of coffee or have lunch together and chat more about it, so that you are developing a closer relationship. And I'll give you a great example, David. When I first started, there was a radiologist a mile down the road who was just opening his practice. And the funny thing is, he thought that I was an internist. I thought he was an ophthalmologist. And we went to lunch and we had a good laugh about it, because both of us were in specialties totally unrelated to what we thought when we introduced ourselves. But we found that we had a lot in common. And for referrals, it couldn't be better. If I had a patient that needed an x-ray or a sonogram, then I was going to send them up the road to my friend Jay. And if Jay was doing an x-ray or sonogram and he found a pelvic mass or an abdominal mass or a pregnancy that needed treatment for the future, he sent the patient down to me. So it was a great source of referrals that worked to both of our benefits for many years. And that just came from having lunch together at Ben's Deli. So I strongly recommend that you look around and see who is in your community, who you could get referrals to, and also who you can give referrals to, because it is a question of reciprocity. People are not going to keep referring to you if you don't give anything back to them. It's a give and take relationship. But there's nothing like networking. That's one of the most valuable things a person can do.
Hey, good looking. Are you currently getting paid to speak? Would you like to ramp that up? We can help. Book a confidential speaker strategy call with our team at doitmarketing.com/call, and let's see what we might do together. The call is free, but the results may be priceless. Let me ask you about blogging. A lot of these social media and content marketing strategies can seem fairly time consuming. I know that a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, doctors, practices, they totally don't get the whole blogging thing. They don't see the value. They don't see the power of it. What is your best advice for blogging in the present moment?
Blogging is very important because it shows your personality. It allows people to see what's new and what you believe in, but it also is an avenue that you're giving patients to give their comments about. You're keeping it on your site, so they're not commenting on Yelp and other sites. You're allowing your patients to directly get in contact with you. But the thing is, yes, you know what? We all get it. Doctors are working 25 hours out of every 24. But the question is, they don't have to be the ones doing the blogging. You can have an editorial calendar. You sit down once a month with all your staff members and you say, Lucy, you work the front desk. And so you're aware of the problems and the benefits and features of everything having to do with your job description. So, like once a week or once a month, we're just going to have you do 400 or 500 words on something that you're familiar with. Dennis, you're a biller, like once a month. Why don't you just put out a blog about billing? And you handle it that way so that your staff is helping you out. It doesn't have to come from you alone. It's coming from your office. And if you have PAs or medical assistants, you get everybody on board. And the editorial calendar lets everybody know this week and this day is being dedicated to a specific topic.
And I'm guessing that if you don't want to use your own staff, you can also hire or delegate this to an outside marketing firm / consultant, right? And this is something where you might be able to help people either with the strategy or with the implementation, correct?
Absolutely. The thing is, if you don't have the time to do it and you see the value in doing any service, of which blogging is only one of many, then you know what? There's a very important word that you should keep in mind, and that's outsource it. Whatever you don't have time to do, other people can do for you.
Exactly. Let's talk about websites. I know you've seen the good, the bad, the ugly of medical practice websites. Some are totally, abandoned lots of broken links and incomplete information. Some are beautiful cosmetically, but don't really do the marketing job that they were designed to do. What are some of the key elements that you need on a website? And what are some things that you don't need to worry about at all?
Well, the first thing that one should keep in mind is whenever somebody lands on your site, immediately they should know what you're there for. What are your services? What do you do? Why should it matter? Even if a site is pretty, you don't want them to guess, like, what does this person actually do? Because it's easy enough, especially nowadays, to just click off and go to the next one down the road. So that's really important. Of course, you want to have, like your branding, like colors. You also want to have a logo and a tagline, but you want to have a navigational bar that is going to be easy to access the various pages for and to be able to, coordinate everything that's on your site. Every single page, no matter what page it is, you must have your name, telephone number, and address. Because if it's only on your home page and they're on page 4 or 5, you know what? They may not know how to get back, or they may not be interested in getting back and they may click off. But if your name and telephone number is in their face, no matter what they're reading, it's that much more likely that they're going to call you and either make an appointment or to do whatever other call to action that you may be offering. Another thing is, you want to make sure that you have a call to action. People getting to your site may be looking at it, but they may not be ready to make the appointment, but you don't want to lose them. So maybe it is to get a checklist or sign up for a newsletter, or even a particular piece of information that they may not be able to get elsewhere, which would be of value to them. Of course, your homepage has to be stellar, because if your homepage is not, they're not going to go further. But you also want to have an about page. People want to know who you are. And in the medical field, that means they also want to know where you trained, as well as what your degrees are, and any fellowships or additional training that you had, what insurances that you participate or accept. And you also want to remember on the About page, it's not just about you. You really miss out on a golden opportunity if you don't also put each one of the people that are on your staff on the About page as well. And keep in mind that for each person that you put on the About page, you should have a picture, not a picture of them playing with their dog or cat or with their kids. It should be a large picture of them smiling and looking straight at you, making seeming eye contact. And for other people on the staff, you want to say what it is that they do. So if they're coming to the office for the first time, they could say, "Oh, that's Sally. I read about her. She's the one that, sends me the forms. And Dennis, oh, he's the one that I need to speak to about my billing, etc." So it's all laid out on that website.
So you're
Again,
humanizing the staff.
absolutely humanizing the staff. That's very important. You need to have a service page. People want to know what is it that you do and where you do it. Maybe you only do office procedures. Maybe you do surgery. If you do surgery, is it done in the office? Is it done in the hospital? If it's done in the hospital, then who is it that, which hospital that you're going to? And here you have the perfect opportunity to have additional links to it with videos. People have no knowledge about the medical devices that you have or the procedures that you have, or if they're even a candidate for the procedure and why. So if you have a short video that says, "Listen, you are a candidate for this procedure if you have this, or you are this. If you are not in that realm, then let's discuss other options." And you give a video as to what your pre-op care is, what they would be experiencing, what their post-op care is. It would go so much of a longer way. You also need to have a contact page. Again, even though you have your name, address, and telephone number, you need to have a place where people know how to reach you. Maybe they don't want to call you right then and there. Maybe they just have a question for you. Maybe they're shy about using their phone for somebody that they don't know. If you give them a contact page, they could put their question right on that page. And then when you get time to really spend time with that person or that issue, you could then contact that patient however that patient wanted to be contacted.
Wow. That's like website 101, 201, and 301 all combined. I love it. What a great episode. Wowza. Tell you what, if you want to ramp up your revenue as an expert who speaks professionally, you should really check out our free online training at doitmarketing.com/webinar. Let's talk about something else that's really, really important online that I think maybe some medical professionals and maybe even some entrepreneurs would kind of poo-poo it, but it's about your online reputation. And are we talking, Barbara, about Google reviews, Yelp reviews, kind of what are the building blocks of an online reputation that doctors and other professionals should be careful with?
Controlling your reputation is paramount for the success of your business going forward, because 8 out of 10 people go online to see about a doctor or dentist who they're being referred to before they will ever make the appointment, even if the referral is from a friend or relative. They're saying, oh, okay, thanks for the referral. Now let me go online and see, what this person is all about. Do they have like 5 stars and great reviews? Or, do they have 1 or 2 reviews and a lackluster reviews about them? I mean, just think about when someone says, there's a new movie in town, let's go see it. Of course, you're going to go online, whether it's Fandango or IBD or, Rotten Tomatoes. And if it says, pass this movie, it sucks, you're not going to go see the movie. Well, it's even more important for a professional because, you see a bad movie, you can move out. But you go to a bad doctor for a serious condition, you could be in serious jeopardy. So 8 out of 10 people are looking online, and it's important for you to control and know who's talking about you. Yes, Yelp is a site that people go to, but there are several others that have a doctor rating as well. You have Vitals, VITALS.com. You have ZocDoc, health rating, health grades. There must be about 20 or 25 sites now. So, you may want to go into more than one. After all, it's your health that we're talking about.
Right. Absolutely. Let's talk as we start to wrap up here. One of the things that you sometimes advise your doctors to do is to write a book as sort of the ultimate credibility tool, the ultimate platform builder, the ultimate trust mechanism. Why is writing a book important, and how in the world do doctors find time or make time to write the book?
Having a book makes all the difference between establishing your authority in your field versus just being like another Joe Schmo. If people are looking to see which doctor they're going to go to, they could go to, like Joe Schmo, or they could go to the one who wrote the book. Obviously, the perception of that when the doctor is an author is that they know what they're talking about, and it gives them a lot more credibility. They could write it themselves, or they could go to a ghostwriter, but it's really quite easy nowadays just to make the time, write like a chapter a month, a page a day, or a page every 2 or 3 days. There are services where you just dictate it, and then people just type up your dictations and form it correctly inside and then self-publish. Years ago, it was an ego thing to be published with a recognized publisher. What you have to know now is that if you go to a regular publisher now, they don't give you the huge advances anymore. And it takes 18 months from the time that they start with you to the time they publish a book. If you have information in the book that's time sensitive, 18 months out, those procedures or techniques may be a little bit passe. Whereas if you, go to a place where you are publishing it yourself, you could get that book into the press within 8 to 10 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can write it and you can have a copy on your desk once it's done in about 2 weeks, once it's finished, right? The writing part. And just to be clear, this is not some big textbook, scientific, medical book. This is a book that doctors should write to really help their patients understand their specialty or their condition, or how this particular doctor is better, cooler, faster, smarter, and more capable of solving their medical condition than, like you said, Joe Schmo down the street who doesn't have a book. So it's a patient-centered book. It is not a medical or technical book, correct?
If it's a medical or technical book, then I strongly recommend you go the traditional route. These books are so that people understand how you are of value to them. It doesn't have to be tremendous. People don't read large books. It just has to be, like 90, 96 pages. And you're not going to be making money from the book. My advice is not even to sell the book. It could have, value to it, especially if it goes on to a distributor like Amazon or Barnes and Nobles. You need to put some dollar figure to it. But the thing is, you should be using it as a calling card for free and handing it out. People will throw out business cards, but people never throw out books. And if it's something of value to them, they pass it along so that not only is the person that you gave it to going to come see you, but everybody that sees the book from that person will be coming to you as well.
Tremendous. Well, Barbara Hales, I know that we are at the end of our time here. I've got two final questions for you. The final question, I know you have a cool gift and a cool resource for people, which we'll put into the show notes as well about how they can get that. Second to last question, if people were to take one overarching idea from our conversation today about how doctors and other professionals can do a better job with their marketing, what do you hope that one overarching concept might be?
Well, David, if I were to give just one tip, which goes for everybody, and this is so important that your listeners can implement immediately, is that it's very important that you buy a domain of your name. No matter how popular or unique you think your name is, I guarantee it, now that we're all online, you're going to find at least 10 others with exactly your name. Now, you may be a professional, but there may be a person with your name in the next town over that could be a porno star. Who knows? Or something that you would not want your patients seeing instead of you and making that identification mistake. So everyone should own their own name. So important. You know what? Don't wait. Don't put it on your to-do list. Pick up the phone or the internet. Buy it today. You need your own website with your name. And the thing is this, you never have to use it. You never have to do anything with it. You are only owning it to prevent somebody else from using it.
Right, exactly. Well, let's talk about your special gift. I know you have a report and then other ways that people can get connected and stay connected with you. So we've got the special gift. Let's talk about what that is and how folks get it and any other links that you'd like to share.
I have an ebook that people could go and get called The Top 5 Things You Can Do Right Now to Grow Your Practice. And you could get that ebook by simply requesting it at Barbara, B-A-R-B-A-R-A, at Barbara Hales, Hales, MD.com.
Tremendous. And then more information also on the Medical Strategist website.
I have a ton of content that, I'd love to share with you. If you go to www.themedicalstrategist.com, and I look forward to seeing you there.
Great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. Fantastic episode, Barbara, and awesome tips. I didn't tell you, but I'm going to tell you now that I actually started college as pre-med. And I didn't make it because I failed out of chemistry, physics, and calculus all in the same semester. I was apparently meant for other things.
Well, you know what? We are all born with a special gift, and I'm glad that you found yours.
There you go. That's a very kind way to put it. Thank you for being on.
And thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Well, that wraps up another episode of The Speaking Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on iTunes. Subscribe. Tell a friend. Go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thespeakingshow.com. See you next time.